Our friends. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it's time for another Orc Mode workout. For those of you who watch these videos every day, please remember to click like down below. Keep the likes higher than the dislikes. Reach down there. You're not allowed to watch the max until you've clicked like. That's the rules, guys. Come on. Gotta follow the rules. Alright. Today was fairly quick on my quick ramp up. I just did a floor press. It was easy to set up, mainly because I had a client this morning I needed to update, and I wanted to get my training max out of the way first, just to do something heavy, just to get in practice. Went up to a quick 315 on a medium grip floor press. A lot of people would count this as a close grip. For me, this is medium grip, probably about as wide as I'm going to go. And fairly heavy, but obviously it wasn't a max. But I just wanted to get up above 90%, and it is above 90%. I wanted to get my client sorted and then get in and do all my volume work. Today was a pretty tough workout too. Everything was challenging. I changed stuff up again just slightly, trying to get the most I can out of my supplemental work. We are trying to maximize hypertrophy in all the right spots, so I had to put some thought into some things, like I've been talking about. But yeah, 315 floor press, pretty easy, not bad. A little slow near the lockout, which some people would say, oh, that looks like tricep. No, I felt it all in my delts and pecs. Pecs and delts. I went ahead and did close grip presses, right? Went ahead and did close grip presses. People say, why? I thought you were going to mess with incline. Yeah, because I need the front delt, but the dips are addressing my upper chest. Front delt gets worked really hard on close grip. It's still a delt dominant press. Now granted, it works my chest a lot, but I feel it in the delts just as much as the incline. And I've added in 5 sets of laterals every single upper body session. That's going to be 15 plus a week, depending on if I do these 3 or 4 a week, depending upon my frequency. That's a lot of laterals. Those hit the front delt. I'm addressing all the shoulder weakness, so let's get in and just get the real work done. Okay, if we're going to talk about supplemental work, my side delts and my front delts and all that are being addressed with that. We're doing more rows these days for rear delts, which is going to be better than my chins were. This is all being addressed. Let's get in and do the big exercises that are going to put the most meat on all my benching muscles. And they're going to keep my triceps growing because I need arms. Generally, what do people say? Real experts say, oh, what are your top builders for arms? It's going to be stuff like a good quality extension, close grip presses, weighted dips. Let's just do those. Get in and train them hard. Much volume as I can handle. And try to get stronger in these rep ranges, right? Try to get stronger in the 10 rep range. You know, which we did. Did 230 today for 5x10 on the close grip press. I think I only got 9 on the final set. So this is getting challenging. This is getting hard for me. But I need to bring this up. You know, I need to work on hitting towards like 245 for sets of 10. My bench will probably go up from that. We've got to push these things. And when I look at it, this just works more muscle. It works a little more muscle than the incline. Not that the incline isn't good. My ratios aren't really that off at this point. When I look at my close grip here versus the incline, 30 pounds difference for sets of 10. This still works the front delts as hard. We would talk about, well, the potential upper chest, but the weighted dip hits the upper chest as hard as an incline does. It's being addressed with 5 sets every workout. You could say, well, the incline also works the side delt a little more. Yeah, it does, but I'm doing lateral raises, doing side raises. It's all in there. Let's just get the effective exercises in. Let's just get this stuff in. And then use the smaller movements to shore up any weak links that these big lifts are not addressing. So we've got tons of Pendley Rows. And my pulling volume is equal to my pressing with that because I do them every day, every workout, upper and lower. So yeah, it's only 5 for each one of them, but it's doubled up. Then 10 sets of pressing stuff for volume. We can do close grip and we can do weighted dips. All right, that handles all my big movements for the upper body outside of my max work. Obviously, we're not counting deadlifts and things as upper body, even though they really are. All right, that addresses it. And then we come in with the small stuff. It's going to be biceps, triceps, side delts, forearms. Okay, started adding in forearm work yesterday. I'm going to do some of that off camera, build up work capacity. That just adds too much extra time, though. Look, as my forearms thicken up for me doing it, it'll be obvious that I'm obviously doing forearm work. Because, you know, that always happens. I add a supplemental lift. Say, well, I do this off camera. Then people are like, oh, he's not doing it. He's lazy. Guys, I do 35 sets of rows on camera every week. I hit a training max or a true max every day on camera. I do 15 to 25 sets of supplemental work, a lot of it to failure. Let's just give up with that nonsense. I obviously am doing a lot of work. It's just my camera times are going to run long. If I go and start my wrist curls, behind the back wrist curls, and all my extra grip stuff, it's just, we'd end up adding 45 minutes of extra training footage every week that no one wants to watch. Maybe I'll add it in later. Who knows? I might want these to run to 25 minutes every day. But yeah, I've started adding them in. I need to address all that stuff. And then we did our rows here, normal Pendleys. So I've got more videos coming out on discussing Pendley rows and getting the most out of them. But yeah, what am I doing as far as off camera? Well, high rep band curls. Then I've started saying, well, I need maybe some high rep hammer curls, right? With the bands, right? To thicken my forearms up. So maybe my upper body days like this, I can do the regular curls. Off days, I can do some hammer curls. I don't need many sets, 1 or 2 sets a day, a couple sets. Really high reps with bands at the end of the day to failure, like 30, 40 reps. Especially for stuff like the hammer curls for the forearms. Behind the back standing barbell curls, or wrist curls, right? Phenomenal forearm builder. I need thicker forearms. Do the extra grip work. I've got my pinch blocks that you guys have seen me use quite a few times. Right, that handles pinching grip. What about crushing grip? I got Captains of Crush grippers arriving here today. Okay, Captains of Crush grippers. So we handle pinch, we handle crush, and then we handle forearm volume. That should handle my grip and my forearms, because we know that's a weak link too, right? My forearms will probably improve both my bench and my deadlift. I definitely had a guy who's stronger than me on the bench say your forearms need to come up. He's right. I addressed that yesterday. So let's address it, all right? Let's do some forearm work. Start doing it regularly, religiously. It'll probably help my bench. A lot of times my forearms do feel fatigued on benching. Possibly they are weak link. Help me have a more stable way to grip that bar. Because I have long, thin forearms. When I say I have long arms, it's because of my forearms. They're long. Yeah, I've measured my wingspan. Wingspan is 6 foot. It's pretty long. I have thin forearms, thin forearm bones. I could stand to bring that area up. It'll help. So let's address all of it. Address all of it. We get over to my other one, the weighted dip. These were hard today because, again, the closed grip press is harder than the incline press. It's 30 more pounds, more muscles involved. It was a little more fatiguing. Not going to lie, it made the dips a little harder. These were challenging. I didn't finish all 10 on my last set. I got to about rep 7 or 8 and completely petered out. And it's 55 pounds and I'm walking around at 220. Plus I've eaten already. The 220 is morning weight. That's before drinking a half gallon of milk. So these are tough. So we're getting to limit sets. And we got to get stronger. Right? We're able to get them with the 55. The next goal will be to actually always get 5 sets of 10. Be able to complete it after doing the closed grip bench. And then get up to 65 pounds. You guys notice, again, as I pointed out before, sometimes the first rep or two, they're a little shallow. I have to kind of get into my groove. I've got to get used to that weight swinging. Because, again, you guys got to be careful with things like this. You've got to be careful with shoulder health. When you're dealing with pretty heavy weights here, because keep in mind, I'm not a 150-pound guy doing this. 220 in the morning, but you figure by the time I get to lifting, I'm 225. By the time I've eaten breakfast and all that, 55 pounds. It's like 280. You've got to ease into that. Got to ease into that first rep or two each time. I have to. Then I can go ahead and go deeper. So you want to make sure we're getting that all that fatigue near the end. Getting that fatigue near the end. But yeah, these were tough today. They were tough. I had to dig in. Like I said, I couldn't finish the last set. You guys notice right there on that one. I didn't even count that rep, by the way. I counted that as a 10 rep set, but it was that first one because I couldn't go down. I had to get balanced. I had to get balanced and in the groove. Then I did 10 after that. But No, a lot of times you do have to be careful when you start dealing with a lot of weight on weighted dips of getting into your groove, getting that balance right. And sometimes you need a rep or two to get into your groove, to fall into the right place for your shoulder health. You know, be careful, guys. And it's not going to matter at the end of the day. Because when you're doing a lot of reps, I'm not worried about the first rep or two being a little shallow. I'm really not. Long as we get deeper into the set, we start getting to those harder reps, the ones where we're hitting the upper threshold fibers, we need to make sure we're getting the stretch, getting that stretch reflex in the pecs. And people have to remember that you're not reaching upper threshold fibers on a 10 rep set till probably rep 6, right? You're not. You're just not. Got to get deeper in there. But they definitely, I felt my whole chest lit up and my triceps. And that was the thing, as I got further into it, normally what I've said recently on the dips, I feel them all in my chest and everything else, a little bit in the delts, obviously. Whole chest, top to bottom. I feel it in my upper pec, lower pec. As I started getting further in, the triceps started giving out. You know, and that's another thing I've said when it comes to dealing with some of these big exercises. Making sure a muscle like that is strong enough is important. And even people have said, well, if you feel like your triceps are not your little weak link on the bench now, why are you doing so much tricep work? Number one, I visually need it. Number two, all these exercises like the dip, which would be a fantastic chest builder. I think most people universally agree a weighted dip is easily top 3 chest builders. Easily top 3. Not always going to say any exercise is the best, but it's easily top 3. If it starts being limited at the very final reps by triceps, we need to get our triceps stronger. Because when we look at these supplemental lifts and say, well, this supplemental lift will make me bigger in the places I need to be to get stronger on my primary exercise, great. We need to make sure that we don't develop weak links on those supplemental exercises, particularly a big one like the dip. Right? Just keep the triceps going. You need to keep the triceps going. So yeah, I'm going to push the extensions hard. I'm going to push these laterals hard. I'm going to try to take these things pretty much to failure. And now that the curls are out here, I feel like I can put a little more energy into them. I can push them a little harder. Like I said, I can always do high rep curls at the end of the day. Because we're not worried about getting strong at curls. Look, I just want a little bit of pump there. We just want to put some extra meat in those areas. And you know what? Find a bunch of high rep band curls will do it. And, you know, even if it's somewhat temporary, even if it's transient, it doesn't matter for purposes of what I'm doing. We're not using them to lift anything. We're not using the biceps to actually lift. They're useless exercise. They're useless muscle for the most part. But they create cushion. Create cushion to bounce off of the bench against your elbow, right? So they're still of value for the bench press. And those high rep ones give potential for better tendon health to help keep from tearing a bicep when we deadlift. So we'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Same thing with the shoulders. You know, I am doing obviously higher reps here than I would normally do. Why? My delts, and this is again, we've seen research suggesting it, delts can be a little bit resistant to volume. They can be. Mine definitely are. My side delts and stuff don't grow at all from really heavy work, do they? They don't seem to respond that well to it. They're very resistant to that. So I am taking the other approach of let's just throw some really high pump work at them, like a bro. And it's not even bro at that point, when we're seeing some data definitely showing that side delts and delts in general oftentimes respond to much higher volumes. They tend to be a little bit volume resistant. Well, that's probably my problem. It's probably why mine aren't as big as they should be. I think that's probably a factor. So let's just do the higher rep work. Much as I don't like to think in those terms because I care about big numbers. And people have to remember that. I don't enjoy that style of training. I don't like it. I don't like the mentality behind it. So I remind myself that I need more delt to help my bench press. And my bench press is my weakest lift. I've got a good squat. I've got a good deadlift. People mock my bench. It's going to make me look bad as far as performance goes. And so I look at it as a means to an end. If these really high rep lateral raises will help my lagging delts come up, and it helps give me more stability on the bench press, just like I can talk about the forearms will give me more bench press stability, and it helps my lagging bench come up, then it is helping me get stronger. And that's what I have to remind myself. And that's the thing. We have to motivate ourselves with these things. A lot of people say, well, Jason, the whole idea, if you got leaner and if your delts got bigger, you'd look more aesthetic, you'd make more money. Yeah, but how many of you guys can really feel passionate about something that you do when you say, oh man, at my job, if I go do something I hate doing that I don't care about, that I think is ridiculous, I might get a nickel an hour raise. That's hard to motivate yourself with that, isn't it? Think about it. That is a hard way to motivate yourself on something you really dislike with your work. Okay, the strength is what I'm passionate about. People would argue that I don't need to max out as often as I do. We could argue strictly from a benefits perspective that I don't need to hit a training max 6 or 7 days a week with all this volume I'm doing. You know, that would be a completely reasonable argument. My counter argument, it is what I'm passionate about. I like heavy lifting. I enjoy it. So by doing it first, it motivates me. It motivates me and it reminds me of all my weak links. It lets me test my weak links because we use heavy work to find our weaknesses that we need to hypertrophy, right? That's what max effort is largely for, one of the benefits. It's a tool. And it reminds me at the start of each training day of why I do all the supplemental work. I use it as my motivation. That if I want that lift to go up that I just did, I have to do the supplemental work. Okay? So it's not always about doing what is the most effective. We know all this supplemental work is the most effective thing I need right now. We know that. The heavy work keeps me motivated to do it. It is my motivation because I enjoy it. I'm passionate. I love lifting heavy. I love heavy singles. That is fun to me. It's where I remind myself each day why I need to do the supplemental work. It's how I stay motivated. So for some people who watch these vlogs who are like, I don't think that's necessary. Do you really need to hit a heavy deadlift every 4 days, a heavy squat every 4 days? You need to hit a heavy press every other day. No, I don't need to from a programming perspective. I could cut that in half and easily get 100% of the benefits. It's where I find my motivation.